Hey, it's Renee Keel, host of TradeIQ and Chief Operating Officer at BrokerBin, the leading B2B exchange for IT professionals, resellers, and wholesalers. I'm thrilled to introduce TradeIQ to you, the podcast that shares the economic stories of IT hardware resale. Each episode, I interview an industry leader who embodies what it takes to realize success in the ever-changing and highly competitive secondary IT market. What does it truly mean to be an ITAD provider? How do companies mitigate supply chain risks? How can your business thrive amidst changing market conditions that eat away at profit margins? Explore these topics and more on TradeIQ from BrokerBin.com. And while I have your attention, I want to personally invite you to attend a BrokerBin Roadshow. This biannual event brings together ITAD and ITAM providers, wholesalers, resellers, and service professionals all under one roof for 2.5 days of high-value networking. Where else can you make a true, authentic connection with other IT professionals in our industry? Join us in Europe in the spring and in the US in the fall. Learn more and register at brokerbinroadshow.com. Eric Dvorak is the Vice President of Sales and Operations at ESX Technology Solutions, headquartered in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. ESX is an IT consulting and solutions provider specializing in new and refurbished hardware, infrastructure solutions, 24/7 maintenance, and security services. In his leadership role, Eric has assumed a sports-minded approach when it comes to growing ESX. He believes sales and operations are deeply intertwined, much like a football team, and says his greatest motivation comes from his team. On this episode of TradeIQ, Eric and I discuss what it takes to make the perfect play. To make the deal, the team must ask, what's best for the customer? Does it align with company core values? And what support is needed to get the deal done? Eric speaks to the success a team can experience when they stick together, enjoy the journey, and stay the course. Good morning, Eric. How are you?
Doing great.
Good. I'm so glad you were able to join us. Thank you so much for making the time.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And I love having a fellow Minnesotan on.
Of course. Yeah. We got to stick together, right?
Yes, we have to. And it's the weather. I'm looking outside right now. We're getting there.
It's Sprint Masters is starting today, so you got to be happy about today, right?
Okay. Right. Good. All right. Well, let's just jump right in.
Awesome. Yeah.
Tell me about your company.
ESX was started in 2004 by the current owner's father. And they started mostly in the storage side of things. I know Ecologics was kind of taken off around that time frame, so that's what they based their business around. And now it's currently kind of diversified into, we still have the hardware side of it we're buying and selling, and we've added a maintenance and support division to the company, and also a services side. So we're pretty well-rounded and diverse, so it's really grown over the years.
That's great. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
How did you get into the business?
I had a friend just got into the industry. I was actually back in 2008 when I got into it. I got home from college, came home, and my dad was a builder. He had a construction company. So I thought, you know what? I went to school for business management. What better way to learn than getting the ropes with a family business, right? So I did that for a handful of years, and it really never felt like this is what I was supposed to be doing. And then in 2008, when the housing stuff started kind of getting a little rocky, I had a friend that I had lunch with. And he's like, you should really try IT. And I'm like, I don't know anything about computers. But he, got me excited, got me encouraged, put me in front of some really good people, and ended up landing my job in 2008. So that's how it all started for me.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I started at BrokerBin in 2008, actually.
Oh, there you go. So yeah, what are we on? I keep telling like 17, 18. I'm somewhere around there. I think.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, time flies.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about your, the journey from then until now and like what you've learned along the way.
Yeah, no, when I first got into it, I just like anything else, I wanted to dive in, right? I felt like I had to know every single thing, and learn about every certain object and parts and components. And then when you're talking to customers, it just didn't come across that way, right? Like it was genuine and stuff like that. And once I realized, like, you don't have to really know everything, it's very helpful to understand the product and what your customer needs. But there's so many resources out there to use, especially in today's age, right? With the internet, you can go on and find anything if you don't even have the answer. So I've learned really how to use the resources out there to get some of the answers for these customers and really figure out, what their issues are and tie them together. But at the end of the day, really the thing I think I've learned the most is that there's always good people out there to help you.
Yes.
And not just within your company, at other companies. I feel like any of us, been for doing this for so long, we can pick up the phone and say, hey, this came across this, my customers, having these issues. What have you done?
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, it's really the people are some of the best things I've learned along the way.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, and that's the kind of advice to give to, that's the thing that my husband and I say to our kids, right? Is like, if you don't have the answer, find somebody who does.
Yes.
There's always somebody around you. There's always a resource. And so, yeah, that's great.
For sure.
But this industry is full of a lot of really good people, for
Well,
sure.
that's awesome. Love it.
Eric, how would you describe the market conditions of the past few years, and what's your outlook going forward?
Last 2 years have obviously been pretty challenging in multiple different ways, coming out of the pandemic and stuff. But honestly, I always try to be just optimistic. I think we've seen now that the marketplace is trying to, kind of plateauing, it's leveling out. We're all kind of rebounding from it. But for us as a company, we're very diverse, like I mentioned. It's really helped us, in those different ways. So when the hardware market is down, maybe our support is up because people are going to keep their hardware around a little longer. So the diversity of our company really helps kind of get through those market trends, per se. So, again, we roll with the punches. But I do feel, to answer your question, at the end of the day, I do think it's starting to level out again.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. And
Yeah.
to the point about diversification, I think that's probably another big lesson for everyone within this industry specifically, but probably everywhere, is that diversification is really key.
Yes. Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
So what industry trends are you watching? And is there anything that you see as a big opportunity for ESX?
Yeah, I don't know if it's trends as much as we really have a tight relationship with our OEM partners. So we're always, I think it's almost quarterly, one of them are stopping by or we're meeting with them to see what's coming out there. So we really watch what they're doing. And in our industry, the refurbished market, if we're not selling something new, 90% of the time it is that refurbished side, and that's what we're supporting, right? And especially in our support side of the business, is we're not seeing that product for 3 to 4 years, right? So we're already trying to game plan and prepare for that when it does come. So we make sure we have the parts on hand to support those items. So really our partners are the ones that are kind of showing us the trends along the way. They're saying, hey, here's what we're rolling out. Here's what we're thinking. We just had a really good meeting the other day with one of our OEM partners where they're actually going to focus on the big Fortune 500 companies and leave the small to medium-sized businesses for, partners like ourselves. So that was very encouraging. So we've been able to hit the ground running with that. We're starting to put a marketing in place for it. So for us, it's not as much as trends as really what we're just kind of following our OEM partners.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. And kind of along the same lines, how do you keep up with, and maybe this is a similar answer, but with like the ever-changing IT landscape, like how are you guys staying creative and thinking outside the box?
That is, we found our best way to kind of stay, with it, because it's always changing, right? But the tech communities that are out there, whether it's conferences, these webinars, forums. I'm not a big social media guy, but we have a social media presence. They follow a lot of that stuff. And then what we really try to do as a team, like on the operations side, is we try to look at issues that customers are having from different angles, and see how maybe other existing technologies can help them out or go back and forth. So, value from peers usually sparks different approaches and really answers the problem. So engaging other communities, it just, helps you kind of stay along the way with it. So
Yeah, that's great. We're obviously here a big proponent of networking, right?
yeah, for sure.
That's
Yeah.
our business. And so, yeah, that's really important to be able to stay connected and evolve together.
Yeah.
Tell us about your leadership position at ESX.
It's tricky, right? Yeah, I manage both the sales and the operations side. So There's days where it can be a lot, but at the same time, I always tell the team that I can't imagine doing one side or the other. And the reason I say that is because they're so intertwined. Um, my approach is I'm a very sports-minded guy. So that's the only way I've really known how to lead.
Sure.
And so I always tell the operations, you guys are like my offensive linemen. You make the quarterback and the running backs, who are the sales guys, right? The flashy guys, look really good. It's the first thing the customer sees, or it's the first response they get comes from operations. So they're like my offensive linemen, where my sales guys are the quarterbacks, the running backs, the flashy people that make things go, right? The big plays, the big sales. So
Great.
we really just try to make it a team atmosphere. I don't like any division going on. So and what it really does is it holds both sides of the business accountable.
Absolutely.
And you can't ask for better team with diverse, with the divide. So, or without divide, rather.
Yeah, that's great. How many people are in the company? How big is
We're just up to 27.
Wow.
Yeah. So
All in
we're
Minnesota?
making changes. So yeah, we have a pretty big vision to grow this thing. So we're excited.
That's really exciting. And you're all there in Minnesota? In
Yeah.
Eden? Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you nurture innovation and ensure that you're not like falling prey to assumptions and other things? Like how do you guys brainstorm and nurture how you're moving forward and cultivate going forward?
That's a
Or
really,
plans, I should say, strategies.
yeah, I mean, we're very encouraging to all the team members to come up with great ideas, right? And new ideas. So like we just got done with reviews last month, and rather than, just giving some feedback, we wanted to hear what they had to say to help us grow, right? Because we're kind of reestablishing ourselves and putting different processes in place. So we really try to engage them on their ideas.
Mhm.
And then the best way to avoid like the assumption side of that for me is just to communicate with it. We put it on a table, like we'll take these ideas, we'll get in a room and we'll say, hey, what are the whys behind these moves? Or, just to really get away from any assumptions. What if it failed? What if it does this? Why are you doing that?
Mhm.
So we just talk about it. I think the communication will take away any assumptions,
Mhm.
especially when people understand what's going on and why you're doing it. So
Yeah.
to really explain the whys eliminates the assumptions for us.
Yeah, that's great because this is like one of the most tricky parts of business, I feel like.
It
when
is.
when you're trying to um or maybe sometimes not be quite as reactive to something that you hear or that might be going on or that you're assuming, but then also wanting to be like, well, we do want to be innovative, we do want to try the new thing or move in a new direction if that's what the business calls for. It's a hard balance.
It really is. And the biggest thing, you've got to let them, because we will try their ideas.
Hmm.
So when they come to us, they're serious, and they've done the research. We don't just come in and say, yeah, let's implement it. They got some facts behind it. So we're always excited to hear about those ideas.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
What's changed in B2B sales that you've had to adapt to, and what best practices really matter for making the deal?
Um, you know, I this isn't any secret. I mean, we all talk about like the connecting with people has gotten more challenging for me. 15 years ago, we'd make 50 calls and get a hold of 40 people or 35 people. They'd pick up the phone or they'd be responsive in email. So I personally think just the lack of connection, it just takes a lot more calls now, a lot more emails, a lot more outbound reach to get a hold of people. So I think that's been the most challenging. With that said, though, I think, these shows that we go to, the face-to-face stuff is really helpful. So just really adapting, getting in front of more people by being present is what we see. But as far as making the deal, this isn't rocket science. We're not trying to cure cancer or anything like that. So it's what's best for the customers first. Is it in our core values, by making it right by the customer, by doing what's best for the company, and just getting the deal done, whether it's with us or someone else, we're always saying, hey, what can we do to help you? So just really finding out those ways. As long as it meets our two criteria, we're good to make that deal.
Yeah, that's great. I agree with you that what's changed is the it is definitely more difficult to actually connect. Like it's almost, you almost can't even pick up a phone and call somebody unless they know your call. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, send an email. Can I call you at this time so we can actually talk, or a text or IM or something? So yeah, that is definitely becoming more challenging. I've had a lot of conversations with members about this and about how, it's trying to, again, it's like trying to innovate and evolve and develop and move forward into like the new way, but also letting maybe a younger generation know or educate them on the importance of actually having that connection and not just like firing off an IM.
Yeah.
It's so important to actually know who you're working with and to have conversations and to, it's a hard thing these days.
And even deciphering those emails and IMs, you can read those 10 different ways, right? Get 10
Yeah.
different, so it's like, man, what do they mean by that? Or they don't
Yeah.
want to talk to me, or what? It's like, no, that's usually not the case when you're on the phone or in front
Yeah.
of them. So
Yeah.
yeah.
You just have a conversation.
Yeah, right. And we're all this together. So it's like, what, let's
Yeah.
help each other out. So
We actually, this is gonna sound crazy, but we still have a landline in our house.
oh,
Because I know, but it's because I've kept it because we had kids, and then I was like, the whole 911 thing and so now our youngest is 12 and we just still have this landline. Well, it only rings, of course, when it's uh, you know, spam, or somebody calling to sell us something or whatever. But anyway, we've been making our daughter, Violet, who's 12, answer the phone, and she's terrified of it.
really?
I'm like,
It's
you've
what kids
got,
do, right?
like, they just have to, I'm like, pick up the phone and say hello.
Yeah.
Pick up the
Yeah.
phone and say hello. And like our kids, like they just don't, who's calling? Like, what are they gonna say? I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I remember being 12 and I loved when the phone rang. Like, who's
Yes.
calling us? Hello?
We just got my son, he's 12. So for his
Okay.
birthday, we finally got him a phone. And it's actually, he doesn't know this, but it's actually helpful for us when practices are done or
Oh,
whatever.
exactly. Yeah.
So he doesn't know the real reason behind why we did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when he answers the phone, it's like he's talking, he holds the phone like this instead of like to your face. He'll hold it while he has no clue even how to hold the phone. I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, so it's
My
super funny to watch people
gosh.
do that. So
Yeah, it is. It's just like, man, how are these kids gonna like, have a conversation
I know.
over the it's different. It's different. Anyway, we're probably sounding like the really old people now, right?
Sure. I fall into it all the time. Yeah.
Speaking of, my next question is actually, what have you learned from other generations that has propelled you forward in your career? So older or younger. What have we learned from other generations?
Um, as I've gotten older, obviously, you start to really incorporate the stuff you heard from the past, right? And you're always, when you get into work, you're just constantly grinding, grinding, grinding. And the one thing I always fall back on is, you can't wait for the next step. So the one thing I always resonate with is, everybody always told you enjoy the journey. Um, so, you're always caught in the grind. Just really enjoy it. Take it for what it is, because that's really what the happiness is. At the end of the day, it's accomplishing things, and just appreciate every single day. I'm super grateful for where I'm at. And I think I can't be more grateful. I'm fortunate because I feel like I'm in the right place at the right time, doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing. So I'm super grateful for that.
Yeah.
And then, life's always going to throw you challenges, right? So just get up, everything, life's going to give you a flat tire or make you sick or make you feel sick, or someone calls in sick. You just got to keep going.
Yeah.
So it's really just enjoy the journey and just keep going no matter what. So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
It's if we get stuck in a mindset of like, I'm trying to get to here, like this is what we've now learned in our lives, right? Like there is no there.
Right.
Even
And
if
then sometimes if you don't focus on if you don't enjoy the ride, when you
yeah,
do get to that first goal, you're like, that's it.
that's it. Exactly.
And then sometimes you stumble a little bit because, okay, what's next, right?
Right.
So if you
Yes.
don't enjoy it along the way, you're just kind of always chasing the next thing. And I've done that, right? I've been there, I've been the chaser, and now I'm just really taking it in day by day,
That's great. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that.
And the other thing though, too, I can't stress enough is get all the negativity out of your life.
Yeah.
Whether it's, bad relationships or, some people are always going to take you down. I actually just was in an airport, traveling to a partner last month, or a couple months ago rather. And I was talking to this old guy. He looked like but he ended up being a retired Air Force guy.
Oh,
And yeah, so we just got striking a conversation, and he had told me about getting negativity out of your life. And he said, this wasn't a quote by him. I actually had to go look it up, see who said it. And I think it was Denzel Washington. But he said, anybody who's ever working harder than you or doing better than you will never criticize you.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy cow, right? You know, it's always the people that aren't working as hard. Maybe there's some jealousy. And the guy even said, if they're jealous or maybe they're insecure, just get them away. You don't want to be by them anyway. So the older I get, I think I pick up on more of those little lines per se
Yeah.
and how they relate. So
Yeah. And you realize, how true that stuff, I feel like there was a period of time in my life where I just thought, oh, these are just like cliche things that people say, but they're cliche for a reason. It's real. It's true. It's real. You don't need that toxicity for sure.
yeah. So it's always great to hear that stuff.
That's great. I love it.
Yeah.
And what are the best resources that have helped you along the way? Like what do you read or listen to or something that's inspired you?
I always find people are the best resource. There's just they've had all the experiences, right? Just like we're at that stage now where we can relate to some of those experiences and relationships and pass that down. But I've found along the way that I think the most stuff I've ever learned is just from individuals. They always, whether they've been through it, and it doesn't have to be in the same industry. It could be just a similar matter, right? So I've always found that people are the best people and my best resources. And I do always I have a pretty decent commute. I have a 30-minute commute. So I'm either listen to like audiobooks or podcasts now. So those are really my best things that kind of inspired me lately, but I don't have like a go-to. What I do is like when something's pertaining to where I'm at in business or life or whatever, I'll listen to that segment or I'll listen to that chapter just to kind of relate to what I'm going through or what I'm trying to accomplish. So I don't have necessarily a go-to like person or a podcast or whatever. I just try to find something that's relative to where I'm at right now in my life.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you're obviously just open to hearing things and learning and being educated. And that's the biggest piece, I think.
Yeah, it's hearing a different perspective, right? It's like, oh, I would have never thought of it like that.
Right.
So
right. Yeah.
yeah.
So what motivates you to keep doing what you're doing, and how do you motivate your team?
My team motivates me.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah, we have a pretty big vision here for what we want to accomplish. And to get them all on the same page it's so much fun. They come in my office and we think through problems. I help them, sometimes make better decisions. Maybe it's just helping them with their creativity. They got something on the tip of their tongue. So, getting them through tough times, tough decisions. That's the stuff that genuinely motivates me every day. And I enjoy it. So
I love that. I love that. That's so great. And it is certainly motivating to your team members to have someone like yourself who's listening to them and helping. I mean, it just makes them feel obviously so much more a part of the process and having some buy-in and being able to contribute. And, that's motivating, I feel like, in and of itself. Is just
we're here so much, Renee. We're at work so often. We try to make it as fun as possible. I mean, there's, things go wrong every single day, but it's like, how do we react, right? Let's stick together, stay the course, and that's what kind of bounces off of you, right?
Yeah. That's another one of those quotes that I've heard all my life. And it wasn't until I was like a full-on adult that I understood it, which was, it's not like what happens to you, it's how you respond to it. And that is just so true.
It is. Yeah. So, yeah. And I didn't try to do that. That wasn't a plug or anything. Maybe I hear it so often. It's just part of me.
I know. Well, tell us a fun fact about you, Eric, that it doesn't have anything to do with your job.
I am a youth football coach.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, I love it. I do middle school too, because that's my boy. I have a 10 and a 12-year-old. So I've kind of started when they were in kindergarten and now I'm up to like 8th grade. And I help the varsity a little bit. So I'm a big football guy. But I absolutely love it. I love mentoring young kids. They're just like a sponge at that age. Anything you tell them, they think it's like coming from like this holy grail, right? Like, oh my gosh, yes, I believe you, coach, whatever. So, yeah, I love it. It's my hobby. There's 2 months of the year. I do leave work, an hour early to get to football practice and stuff, but it's my vice rather, right? You know, it's just, I gotta have it in my life. So
That is so great.
yeah,
That is so fun.
yeah.
And I just, we're kind of getting off topic here a little bit, but I continue to have conversations with friends about like our kids being in sports
Mhm.
and the difference it makes to have a coach, a good coach who's involved and who's engaged and who's obviously, and I mean, clearly that's somebody like you. So you're just for sure making a difference in so many kids' lives. It makes such a difference to have a coach who cares
Yeah.
and who's engaged and wants to mentor the kids both on and off the field. And it's
I
just
tell my wife all
like,
the time, everything I've accomplished in life, that nothing compares to when you get that letter from that parent.
yeah,
It's like,
I know.
oh,
That
so,
that is great.
yeah.
That is great. I love that. One little football tidbit. I'm going to the draft in Green Bay is that next week or the following week?
Yeah, couple weeks, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Really, you're going to that? Wow.
Yeah, well, my parents still live there. I grew up in Green Bay, and so I'm like, I have to go back. So I fly um to Croatia from Green Bay. Like I have to go to Green Bay, get the draft in, and then we go to Croatia.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
Going from one extreme to the next. That's
Yeah, but I'm
awesome.
super excited. It'll be fun.
Last time we talked, I told you I went to Green Bay. Now I can't remember if it's been 2 or 3 years ago. It was when Kirk Cousins tore his Achilles. So I think that was 2, 3 years ago now.
Okay, yeah.
Um, and we've always had that friendly banter with Green Bay, but I'm telling you, that experience was one of the best experiences I've ever
Oh,
been to. I've been to half a dozen different stadiums and experiences and stuff, and that was the most fun. Like
I love it.
I can't explain how much fun that was. It was so
Yeah.
historic. It was more updated than I thought it was going to be.
Oh yeah, it's been
Expected to be
yep.
kind of like this rundown thing, and it really wasn't.
No, that whole
Um,
area, that Titletown area, all that, yeah.
yeah, it was great. So I have a new perspective for the Green Bay fans.
Okay,
So I'm
good.
with Green
Okay. Okay,
Bay.
good. I always have to find a way to plug the Packers, don't I?
Yes, yeah.
Oh goodness. All right. Well, you've been a member of BrokerBin since 2007.
Yep.
What do you think, or what would you say that BrokerBin has done for your business, and or how does BrokerBin help you achieve your business objectives?
Um, well, as you know, with all the shows and the reach that BrokerBin allows us to have, I mean, it made us be able to create the best partnerships, relationships you could ever ask for. It's made it so easy to do that. Like we are just talking about not getting someone on the phone. I mean, it's just so easy when people see your name pop up. So it's really helped establish that. And we can't be more thankful for that. So we really appreciate what you guys have done there. Um, and then for like what's really helped us in our support department, we have a lot of things that really need to go out. Same, you know, we got 24/7 type service. So having that ability to go on there and see that real-time inventory and reach out to those customers that are still maybe open on the West Coast or East, whatever time frame we're at, and get those to the customers as fast as possible. That's been like, I can't explain how helpful that is for us in support side of business. So
That's so great. And I love the little plug for real-time inventory. Very, very helpful. I think we've had a lot of clients as of late, a lot of buyers talk about how much they appreciate the members who have real-time inventory and
yeah,
who are listing that way.
yeah, it's
So
great.
along the same lines, what advice would you give to other members to maximize their membership on BrokerBin, whether they're somebody who's new or hasn't really dove into all the resources available? Like what advice would you give somebody?
Yeah, I think reach out to your representative, whoever that is. We have Bob. I've had a great relationship with Bob. He's amazing. So shout out to Bob. And just really have him show you all the capabilities. I mean, I think it was just 3 months ago when we were talking, Renee. There was a capability that we weren't even aware of that again helped our support side of things.
Yeah, that was the bill of materials, right?
Yeah.
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 Yep.
So,
Okay.
rather than plugging in one part number at a time, we were able to build up this whole list of parts that we needed for this support contract and send them out. And it's been so changing. So really get with your rep to find out all the capabilities and don't be hesitant to ask them. There's sometimes every time we reach out to Bob, he's super responsive. He's back to you within minutes or day, whatever, right? Same day. Use those capabilities like the real-time inventory we were talking about. That really gets you a lot more attention out there. The bold names, I think we have the bold name. So just using all the capabilities and really the rep. Get with
Yeah.
you. Can't stress it enough. So
I love that, because that is the message that we try to convey as well, is that, your rep is your, we say connection expert. Your rep is the person who can give you all the ins and outs of the site. And remember, our sales managers, our account managers, they're talking to all of the other clients as well, so then they know what they can help, again, connect. That's why we call them connection experts, I guess. But it's a good resource. It's a good resource for you guys, for sure.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah. And what about the roadshows? You guys attend the roadshows.
Yeah,
What tips do you have for attendees to get the most out of that networking event?
Get those meetings set up. Get them set up early and often. As soon as you get that capability, start reaching out to the people that you really feel like you can create more business with. Just like we talked about earlier in this conversation, those meetings, that face-to-face interaction goes so far. Then you really get a side for their personality, really get to know who they are. So those meetings are so important. So I really recommend getting those meetings set up. And then what I always stress to, like, even the team here is, like, not only get those meetings set up, those are only 15-20 minutes, right? Maybe go out for a drink afterwards, or go out for dinner or whatever. Because to me, that's what's created the best relationships that I've ever had. That's where, we don't talk business. It's just like, hey, do you have kids? What do? You like football? You don't like football? Whatever, right? So engage in after the fact. Go to those happy hours that you guys put on. I mean, I can't stress how helpful that stuff is.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I love that.
Yeah.
And meetings, we actually, in Croatia, I believe it's Tuesday, the first day, we're almost like booked solid. In fact, Mindy sent out an email to the team this morning to say, like, hey, here's some other places people can meet outside of the meeting space. So, and I only say that to say, like, people are understanding how important, that is, to get those meetings in, that they're just scheduling. And that's another piece of it too, is like, there's not a lot of, if you're not attending these industry shows, where else are you going to be able to meet with that many people
For sure.
in one day or 2 days or whatever, to have that, to make those connections. So yeah, so I'm excited. I think we have 1,600 meetings right now scheduled in Croatia.
That's unbelievable. And it's and that's just the meetings. That's not the luncheons,
right?
Happy hours. That's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah. So we're quite excited about that, and we very much appreciate your participation.
Yeah, no, it's reciprocated. I mean, we can't be more happy to be partnering with you guys. Obviously, we've been for a long time, and a lot of people are, but we're very grateful for the relationship we have with you guys. I'll tell you that.
Same. So how can our listeners learn more about ESX Technology Solutions?
We have a LinkedIn page, ESX Technology Solutions. We have esxtech.com, obviously, is our URL. We're always attending the shows. We're not gonna be able to make Croatia one, but we'll be at the Austin one full force. We got, it's led by Nate, Jeremy, and Mark will all be down there. Yeah, reach out to our team. We're happy to work with you guys, and I can't wait.
Yeah, and your profile on BrokerBin has everyone's contact information.
Yep, we're on BrokerBin as well. Yeah, thanks for reminding me. So yeah, we're all on there. So
great. Oh, Eric, it was so fun chatting.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Like I said, it's been great. I can't wait to meet up with you guys again when I come down there.
I know, and we'll come up too. We're not that far apart.
No, everybody thinks it's the longest drive ever because it's off of 50,
I know.
It's actually kind of peaceful, right?
Yeah, a lot of farmland, and
right? But yeah, no, we'll for sure hook up soon.
Okay, good. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
You too. Thanks, Renee.
Take care, Eric. Bye-bye. Thanks again to Eric Dvorak from ESX Technology Solutions for joining the podcast. TradeIQ is a production of BrokerBin, the leading B2B exchange for IT professionals, resellers, and wholesalers. Subscribe to TradeIQ for new episodes as we share the economic stories of IT hardware resale from industry leaders who work tirelessly to expand asset life cycles and eliminate e-waste. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time on TradeIQ from BrokerBin.com.